The question of the day: what do you look for in a pageant coach? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Crowning Moment. My name is Casey Gibson, and today we have another special episode. Today we're talking about the tips and tricks of how to find the best coach for you. Let's break it down just a little bit. Let's talk about the different types of pageantry, and then we'll talk about how to find the coach that is fitted for those types that you're wanting to compete in. We all know the Miss USAs, the Miss Americas, the Miss Volunteer Americas, the Miss Globals, the Miss Grands, all of these huge international systems. But let's dive a little deeper into the smaller systems of the pageant world. That doesn't mean they're not as good, they're just smaller. We're talking county fairs, high school pageants, even fair systems like the Watermelon Festival or the Peach Festivals, those types of pageants that people don't really think about preparing with a coach for. I have always thought about coaching with pageantry as starting from a smaller pageant than going big. I definitely do not recommend diving straight into the MAO system if you've never done a high school pageant or just a local prelim for a festival or even just your county fair pageant, because all of these little ones lead up to the big dogs, the big pageants of the pageant world: Miss USA, Miss America, Miss Grand International. These are things that you need to prepare for. I was recently talking to Sydney, Miss Eco USA, the other day, and I asked her, what are some of the pageant systems you did before? And she's like, I did MAO, I did USA. And she was like, all of those pageants prepared me for Miss Eco USA and going to Miss Eco Internationals. And it made me think, where do you start? Where does it all start? Do you need a pageant coach? Do you actually need a physical person, or can you watch YouTube? Or even check out my friend Stephen Roddy's website, Pageant Planet. What do you really need to get started in the pageant world? Let's talk about it. I reached out to a couple people, and I actually had a couple people use the email that I gave out last week. So let's start out with the questions that people gave and had for getting started in the pageant world. First question: do I really need a pageant coach to get far in the pageant world? That's a great question. Thank you for asking. But if you ever have any questions for the podcast or want me to answer questions on the podcast, definitely reach out to me at info.crowningmoment@gmail.com. It'll also be linked in the bio below this episode. Thank you for asking this question. It definitely is a good question. Do you actually need a pageant coach to get far in pageantry? Honestly, I feel like there are some pageant systems that you really do need a coach because they understand the system better. If you're diving deep into something you've never actually competed in before, or you don't know anyone that's ever competed in it, I would say if you don't have the funds at the moment to talk to a pageant coach, talk to the title holders. They can be just state title holders or the national title holder, whatever pageant system you're going for. Reach out to the title holders and be honest. Hey, I've never done this system before. I want to know more. What can you tell me? And those title holders are going to tell you as much as they can to help you be prepared for that system. If you don't get enough out of that, reach out to other girls in the system. Hey, I know you competed in this pageant last year. What was it like? Dive deep. Like I say, always do your research. So you may not need that pageant coach for that county fair or for that high school pageant, but definitely going into the big leagues, I definitely think you need a pageant coach just to help, whether it's online coaching, which is such an amazing thing now, having that virtual coaching. That wasn't something that was done before. Now, anyone and everyone just about gives you online coaching. So that's a really good resource to use, as well as going on your best friend, Google, and type in, hey girl, how do I get pageant coaching? Or what should I do to get started in a pageant? And I bet you the number one thing that's going to pop up, Pageant Planet. Mr. Stephen Roddy he has nailed it down. I remember when we talked, he talked about how he would write 3 different articles a day just to get the Pageant Planet website started. And from then, it has bloomed into this entire largest organization, fastest growing community in pageantry. So definitely check out what he has to offer, because he has been definitely doing his research for years. And it's not just from a male's point of view. He has women that have been in the pageantry, men that have been in pageantry, that understand how to get started. So definitely check that out. Ooh, our next question is kind of Interesting. Okay. I've been competing in the pageant world for years. Years is all capitalized. I am a 21-year-old female, and I'm getting ready to compete in a new system that my coach has never worked with anyone on before. How do I deal with this? Do I get a new coach? Do I tell them, hey, thank you? What should I do? Oh my goodness. This is always the most difficult part of pageantry is some coaches help with those county fair pageants or with the smaller pageants within states. They've never actually worked with international systems or global systems, like stuff like that. Or even Miss USA. Some coaches are only MAO. So it's really hard to, you made this friendship, you made this bond with those coaches, but you have to understand this is about you. You need to do what's best for you and only you. If you think that your support system may not get you to that next level through coaching, that is a-okay to have a team of people. Your coaches should understand, if they are good, genuine coaches, they should understand that if you need to level up and find someone that has worked with people in that system before or walked with girls in that system before, that's what you need to do. So if they turn around and give you some lip or treat you negatively, that shows you what kind of coach they really are. They're not in it for you, sweetheart or sir. Definitely, I suggest, finding a new coaching system that's going to work best for you. This is about you. So that's a really good, really good question, because I know a lot of girls that are going from MAO, maybe trying the America volunteer system or trying USA. It's a whole different ballpark. And if your coach has never worked with someone in those systems, don't be the guinea pig for them. I say that in the nicest way possible. You may walk in there and you may swipe up that title for Colorado, USA, or Alaska, America, but don't be their guinea pig. This sometimes is your money on the line, your reputation, and it's not just about who you are and who you work with. This ultimately could affect you in the long run. Are you willing to take that risk? I ask myself this question all the time. This is a brand that you're building. And I know that sounds very cliche or very like, oh, woe is me. But no, this is about you. Do you want to be connected to these people? Is this going to help you get further in the pageant world? They may give you the best coaching advice, the best opportunities that you may have ever received in your entire career of pageantry, but will they prepare you enough for this next level? That's the question I push back to you, my 21 female. Does this help you? Let me know. I also reached out to a few of my really good friends. Here are a few other questions that they have. This person had this conversation with a coach not too long ago, and they asked, what are your credentials? Oh my goodness, this is such a great question. Are they honestly reputable for you to use? Do they have the skills and ability? Have they actually done these systems? Have they had success in these systems? Are they credible? That's a really good question that you should be asking your coaches or the person you're looking into to coach. Next question. What is your specialty? Some lean towards interview, some lean towards on stage walking, lean towards just consulting and looking at your interview outfits or your evening gown outfits or swimsuits. What is their specialty? It is okay to have a coach for interview. It is okay to have a coach for walking. It is okay to have a coach that does all of it. It is a-okay to have a team of people. Please do not think that you can't do that. Yes, pageantry is absolutely expensive, and that's another one of their questions is, how much do you cost? How much is this going to cost me for X item? Whether it's walking, interview, do you charge by the hour? Do you charge by 30 minutes? How do you charge? I want to tell you a little story really fast about the experiences that I've had, because I'm very honest with you guys. I had a coach a while back that said, I'll do a consultation, no big deal, it's on me. And when you hear it's on me and you're just doing a consultation, you're like, oh, I'm assuming it'll be free. Never assume someone's time is free. This was me trying to work with a coach. This wasn't somebody trying to work with me. That's not what this was. So I do this whole thing. We look at my wardrobe. It was a great conversation. I was so excited to work with this person, and I wasn't trying to get anything free from them. By all means, no. I understand that people's time is valuable, and I will pay you for your time. I have zero issue with that, but it really rubbed me a wrong way when it was 3 months later, and they messaged me and were like, hey, I never saw the Venmo or I never saw the PayPal for this. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a really uncomfortable situation because you never feel good when you owe someone money when you didn't realize that you're supposed to pay someone money. That's like you buying me a Zaxby's, takeout and saying, "Hey, don't worry, I got it." 2 weeks later, messaging me like, "Oh, you never paid for that Zaxby's." And of course, I relate to this to food, but you know me. It was a really uncomfortable situation. I immediately paid it and said, "Oh my goodness, so sorry. Did not realize that was my bad. I thought it was covered. No worries. I will absolutely pay you for your time." Because I did take up your time. Absolutely. Be very forward with these people. How much is this going to cost me? The pageant world isn't cheap. Guys, it is not cheap, and I'm going to tell you that and be straight up honest with you. Ask them. It is not unreasonable to ask someone, do you accept a payment plan? There have been times where I know that I could not pay that $85 an hour for this or that. And so I ask, can I pay you this Friday and pay you next Friday when I get paid? And most of the time, I have no worries. It's going to be okay. You just pay them when you can. But not all coaches are like that. So please understand that just because one coach accommodates to you in different ways, another one may not. Next question. Do they coach multiple girls from the same system and age group? That is a great, great question. I was speaking with another woman. She was talking about, like people do work with girls in the same system. I know a big hitter. I'm really good friends with Cyrus Frakes with Gowns and Crowns. He has a lot of girls that do Little Miss South Carolina because he understands the system. So a lot of girls are going to come to him because he knows that pageant in and out. Because he knows the system and he knows exactly what that system wants and is looking for in outfits and interviews and coaching walking patterns. He understands it. He's been around that system for so long, and I respect that. When I did Little Miss South Carolina, who did I go to? Cyrus. I knew exactly who I needed to go to. So that's the great question we have here is, do coaches specifically coach for specific systems? Yes. Pageant Smart works with UNM. You're most likely probably going to want to use him if you're going to want to win. Not in a negative way, it's just he understands the system. Same with all these new coaches popping up for High School America or Miss USA. If you want to go to USA, where are you going to go? Miss Academy in Texas. It's obvious where you need to go if you want to know exactly the exact skills to prepare to go to that competition. It doesn't guarantee you a win. Absolutely not. You just have to put in the work to get that title. But these people are prepared and understand what that system needs and wants in a title holder. So it doesn't hurt to go to them. But does it get dicey when another girl in the same group is coaching with the same person you're coaching with? Absolutely. But that's a conversation you need to have with your coach up front. Are you in this for me? Or are you in this just to have another head on the Instagram to say, oh, I coached this girl and she got top 5 or she won? Are you in it for me? That is a valid question to ask those coaches. Next question. Do you prefer or promote one system over another? There are some coaches out there that have either been banned from a system or their girls never win at that system, so they won't send them to that specific system. This is a hypothetical situation. But say I, want to go to High School America and my coaches are like, absolutely not, I don't like it. Which, do I, A, switch coaches and find someone that will prepare me? Or B, do I have the conversation with them as I understand you don't like it, but is working with you going to affect my chances of doing well in the system? That is a hard one and a hard pill to swallow for a coach. But if they're not honest with you and it does backfire on you, that tells you exactly what kind of person they are. So you have to be very careful. Is who you work with going to affect you and your brand? Remember, this is about you. If this is a mama listening or a daddy or a brother or a grandma, aunt, sister, cousin, whoever, will this affect whoever you're working with in the long run? That is it is crucial. Building a brand, I'm not asking you to be fake here. Being your true authentic self, is working with this one person going to affect you? Not everyone in the pageant world likes each other. Not everyone in the pageant world wants to be friends, but you have to do what's best for you. Please remember that. Another really good question. One of the good friends I have said that they think it's very beneficial to try out a coach for at least 2 pageants with a local or state to see if it's a good fit. My thoughts on that, I think that's a great idea. I never really thought about that before. Is this new interview style that this one coach gave you going to work for you? If you've been getting 10s in interview, whatever you're doing is working, don't change it. Do not change it. But if you're going to a system like MAO and they have a different style, they want to be more platform heavy, work with someone that is all about platform. and they will help you tie in that platform to your interview. But I do like the idea of using a pageant coach for smaller systems before you go big. Do not use a brand new coach on a big system that they have never even had any sort of experience with, like a Miss Chicken Strut or a Miss Pig Festival or a Miss Peach Festival. Something little. Make sure that they're credible. Again, make sure that they have a good start and don't let them ride on your back to the top for success. Will this coach benefit from having you as their person? Oh, that is a good one. Okay, let's talk about this. If you have a coach and you are a big time winner, you're always winning left and right, you just win a lot, and you go work with a new coach and they start claiming, I've done this for them, I'm the best for them. How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel like they're just using your appearance or your look to benefit? Probably so. So what do you do in that situation? You have an open, honest conversation. Hey, I appreciate you. You're the best. You're awesome. You've done a lot for me, but I just want to make sure that you're not using me. And that happens in the pageant world. A lot of coaches will capitalize on specific girls that win a lot by one mock interview with them or one walking class with them or just seeing their wardrobe before they go to nationals and they're like, oh yeah, I coached her. You got to be careful. Some people will definitely ride your back to success. You've got to be careful. But after all of this, you're probably like, do I need a pageant coach at this point? Let me tell you the benefits of having a pageant coach. When you walk into that national pageant, if the coach is really in it for you, they will have you prepared. One of the best things I've ever learned from a pageant coach is as soon as you're somewhere, like, you be your true authentic self, but you were on. But the good thing about it is if you've actually prepared well, all of the work is done before you get there. You're not stressed during pageant week. You're calm, you're cool, collective. Everything's great because you and your coach have done what you need to before to prepare. And that's an amazing feeling, I promise, going into a pageant knowing that you've done everything you absolutely could. That is having success with a pageant coach. And just remember, you don't have to use one coach for everything. You can use it for interview or use a different one for walking. You don't have to use the same coach. And you can use virtual coaches for all of these items too. Or, my favorite thing, YouTube. If you're going to do a pageant that your coach has never worked with and you're like, hey, like I can't afford to get this expensive walking coach, the best thing you can do is watch the pageants from before. See who that top 5 was. Watch how they walk. Watch how they hold themselves on stage and try to emulate that. Not copy, but just take pieces of it and be like, how can I change this to make it my own? You need to be your true, authentic self. If you go out there and be someone else, it is going to show. This is just my opinion, my thoughts, but tips and tricks on how to get that good coach. Do your research. Like any pageant out there, do your research. Make sure that they, have experience in that that system that you want to go for, and they've actually coached in it before. Listen to other people on what their opinions and what their experience was with coaches. Some coaches, like I said, they may not jive with everyone, but that's okay. They may work with you. Like one of my good friends said, at least try them out for a local or state pageant before you go to that national pageant. Use them for a local NAM or a local county festival. Pick a smaller pageant first to test them out to see if their system is actually working for you. That is one of the best tips of advice I think I could really give you there is just try it. And do you see those results in the growth in your kid or your daughter or yourself? Do you see that? And if you do, then yeah, it's a great fit. And at some point, if you may happen to grow out of using that coach, that's okay. If they truly love you and want the best for you, they will say, yeah, I helped that girl 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and they were awesome. I still have great relationships with all of my coaches. One of my biggest things I've always wanted to do was sign the wall at Gowns and Crowns. I've had 3 national titles, and after I was like, oh, I've already won, I don't need to go back for coaching, so I just never got around before I gave up my title to sign the wall at Cyrus's pageant studio, and I was so excited when I won Miss America's United States. I was able to go and sign. He's like, even though you're not my student or my client right now, like, we've always been friends, and so I was just so excited to sign his wall finally. That has been on my bucket list for years, to be like, oh my gosh, yeah, like, I know where I came from. I've had many of coaches in the pageant world, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't forget where you came from. Don't forget the coaches you used for Little Miss South Carolina, or for the county pageants, the high school pageants. Always reach out to them. There's always something you can still learn from every coach you've ever been involved with. Now, if it's a bad experience, girl, cut your ties and run as fast as possible. But always be honest and share your opinions and your experiences with other people. If there was something that happened with that one coach, that one time at that one pageant, don't think that you're talking negatively about him. It's your own experience. You're allowed to talk about that. That's a-okay. Somebody may not have that experience. They may love that coach. So don't think that you are stuck with this one person at this one pageant. You can do whatever you need to make you successful. Don't forget that. But guys, that's just some opinions, some questions, some tips and tricks on this coaching for pageants tips and tricks. So, guys, you never know what happens in the future. So I guess you'll have to check out next week on another episode of The Crowning Moment. Bye, guys.